This year, one of the largest launch pads at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station will be up for grabs, and SpaceX intends to turn the expansive facility into a new site for their Starship rocket. Welcome to My Marvels. Let's take our tour to some of the most interesting facts ever. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell, so you don't miss out on any newly uploaded videos. Let's begin. A new site for Starship rocket. The US Space Force is about to begin the lengthy process of certifying SpaceX for the use of Space Launch Complex 37 at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The US Department of the Air Force, which is in charge of the Space Force, states that the purpose of this action is to advance US space capabilities and provide launch and landing infrastructure necessary to launch and insert DAF payloads into space. This means that the DAF considers the expansion of Starship launch facilities on the Florida Space Coast to be particularly important to US policy. In order to make sure that the Starship launch and landing operations won't seriously harm the surrounding ecosystem, the procedure itself will mostly revolve around an environmental impact statement that will conduct a detailed analysis of the area surrounding the present launch site located on SLC-37. Environmental statement. Additionally, it's safe to think that SpaceX won't be in much danger here, considering that the site is presently held by the United Launch Alliance and its Delta IV heavy rocket launch hardware. However, the regulations require a new assessment, so the Department of Air Force will be leading a team of federal agencies, including the FAA, NASA, the US Coast Guard, and of course the Space Force, to determine whether granting SpaceX a second launch site for their Starship vehicle could affect the Space Center's ability to launch other aircraft. The public will have the opportunity to participate in the environmental research process through a comment submission process and a series of public meetings on March 5th, 6th, and 7th of this year. The environmental study process normally takes about a year. This is done in order to provide everyone who works or lives nearby an opportunity to voice any concerns regarding the project before the government dives too far into the studies. As previously stated, the DAF is currently looking into SLC-37, which is currently home to the ULA and their heavy Delta IV rocket. However, the environmental study also examines the possibilities that SpaceX may need to change, reuse, or demolish the existing infrastructure at SLC-37 in order to prepare it for Starship, as the facility is already in use. However, the United States military has expressed that Starship is a top priority and that its success is critical to their plans for multiple projects, one of which is a cargo variant designed for use as a point-to-point delivery system. The DAF and its team of federal agencies are doing a lot of work to make sure that once Starship nails its next couple of test flights, it will have enough launch sites to really take advantage of its full potential. Tagging space junk. Japan's Astroscale launched a satellite on February 18th to test a new approach to clearing space trash from Earth's orbit. The satellite, named ADRAS-J, was launched into space by Astroscale Japan on top of a Rocket Lab Electron rocket from their launch facility in New Zealand. It was positioned approximately 600 kilometers above Earth and into the rough location of the Astroscale's target, an upper stage piece of a Japanese H-2A rocket. Now, ADRAS-J will approach this defunct vehicle over the course of the following 3 to 6 months and use a number of cameras to scan it. Additionally, it will conduct a number of tests to determine how to approach an object of this nature and to test certain technologies for debris monitoring. With an 11-meter length and a 4-meter diameter, this specific upper stage was utilized for the 2009 GOSAT Earth Observatory deployment. Since then, it has just continued to float there, which makes it the perfect case study for the system. ADRAS-J is only half of this process. The inspection satellite will approach the target and gather data for analysis later on. In order to collect the debris, Astroscale will send out a rendezvous service vehicle together with additional tools, similar to the LCD satellite that the company launched and tested in 2021. The next mission after ADRAS-J will be a test of exactly this sort of capture device, as confirmed by Rocket Lab Director of Global Commercial Launch Services, Sandy Turty. Astroscale is a company focused on addressing space debris, a growing concern for government agencies and regulatory commissions. Space junk presents a serious threat to the safety of our space missions, and will only get worse if we don't deal with it immediately. Im1 Mission, the Odysseus lunar lander made by Intuitive Machines, has been able to communicate with the ground team and is healthy as of the time of recording. On February 15th, the Im1 mission successfully launched Odysseus on a Falcon 9 rocket, starting its week-long voyage to the Moon. The lander took several selfies with a few of its cameras, just after having to do a critical test of its liquid methane liquid oxygen engines, which was barely a day later. The next major stage for Im1 will be the lunar orbit insertion burn, which is scheduled for February 21st. This will allow the lander to slow down sufficiently, allowing for their first opportunity to land the next day. Additionally, it has fuel gauge hardware that maps the real location of the fuel floating inside the tanks in the low-gravity environment using radio telemetry and an internal antenna. This exact issue is what tends to cause problems with accurately measuring fuel levels in other lunar landing missions like the Hakuto R mishap. There are many more eyes on Im1 as they attempt to resolve this problem because the mission also appeared to be going flawlessly until landing. If their newly installed fuel gauge functions correctly, they may become the first American vehicle to reach the lunar surface since 1972 and the first successful commercial landing on the moon. However, H3 is the Japanese space agency's next great workhorse and is expected to be less expensive than its H2A predecessor. You can bet that there will be a lot more flights in the upcoming years. With that said, we have headed to the end of this video. Thanks for being to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and tell us what you think about this video below in the comment section. Let's meet another video.